Hello viewers, I am Aravind and joining me is Ayan Acharya.
Hi, guys.
And we are here to discuss about the mother of all battles, India-Pakistan. Yes, 28th of August, the Asia Cup is fast approaching, and with the Commonwealth Games, India had got a rich medal haul, and now it's back to cricket. And opening statements from Ayan is India versus Pakistan. Of course, it's the biggest game in the entire Asia Cup.
Thank you, Arvind. First of all, hello guys. India-Pakistan, always a big contest. Let's not forget, it assumes more importance given the fact that the T20 World Cup is also fast approaching. It's going to be played in Australia. The last one didn't quite go well for India, went rather well for Pakistan, who came very close to qualifying for the finals. But they were beaten by Australia in the semis. So cricketing wise, the Asia Cup encounter will be very important for both teams because they would want to try out their 11s. However, as far as the India-Pakistan rivalry goes, I'm of the belief that in the last couple of years, it's lost its sheen. Of course, it's the media frenzy that hypes it up. That's been the case for decades now. We've grown up watching so many memorable India-Pakistan games. And even now, as part of the media, we cover a lot of those matches ourselves. But I believe the emotional connect, while it still is pretty much there, it's lost a bit of sheen. Let's not forget that India's top three, if everything goes well, is going to be the same top three that was there in the last T20 World Cup. So it's going to be challenging for India, let's not forget that. But at the same time, there's still a question mark on what that top three could look like, because KL Rahul, mind you, hasn't played any T20 cricket since the end of the last IPL, and he wouldn't have played any T20 cricket because he's obviously part of the Zimbabwe ODIs, but he wouldn't have played any game in the shortest format heading into the Asia Cup. So we're not quite sure if the management would be comfortable, using him as an opener. He will be part of the team for sure, quality act, but whether he bats number 2 or not remains to be seen. In his absence, India have tried 7 openers. Among them are Suryakumar Yadav and Rishabh Pant. Yadav has been in terrific form. Rishabh Pant shows glimpses of why he is the player that he is. So India are not sharp options, but you'd imagine for once that option, the bucket full of options, is tending to be a headache at the moment.
I think it's a good headache for Rohit Sharma and Rahul Dravid, and not to forget, we all keep talking about how India lost that match against Pakistan, that 10-wicket hammering. But not to forget, Virat scored a fantastic half century. On back of that, we got to a middling kind of a score. We didn't have that attack to penetrate into the Pakistani lineup. But then, what if Virat Kohli opens? The team management would be willing to give the former captain a go-ahead, because once Virat gets going, and he's a big tournament player, we all know about it. There's a lot of criticism, there's a lot of noise going around that Virat Kohli, the batsman, is not playing. He's not able to convert into stats. But not to forget, he's the third highest run getter in Asia Cup history. First is Sachin, and then comes Rohit Sharma, and then comes Virat Kohli. So I think big tournament, big players, it's a fantastic headache to have. But I would certainly want to see KL and Rohit opening, and then Virat batting at his favorite number.
Right. Well, as is evident, they have a lot of questions to answer. We'll leave the cricket to the thinking tank right now. Let's get back to the rivalry bit. I'll start with my experience of the India-Pakistan game at the World Cup in Dubai last year. I'll tell you what, unless you got to within a kilometer or 2 kilometers of that Dubai cricket stadium, you couldn't really tell that India was taking on Pakistan in a World Cup match. Now, this is not to play down the hype that surrounds the game. It's still pretty much there. It still brings people together. You had people flying in from England, you had people flying in from Australia, Indians, just to see two teams that don't meet very often anymore. They just play each other in ICC events, take on each other in a World Cup game, in a tournament where India historically had the upper hand. So it still generates the same hype. But that's when I got thinking: is India-Pakistan the same hyped up rivalry as it once was? Arvind, your thoughts?
See, you're talking about India versus Pakistan. We all know how we as journalists prepare to cover an India-Pakistan. Forget about players. The pressure is something that that is huge. But speaking about the rivalry, we had Kiran More and Javed Miadad, the famous incident there. Then we had the Shoaib Akhtar and running into Harbhajan Singh, and we had Gautam Gambhir and Shahid Afridi swearing at each other. These are all have been.
Sorry to interrupt. Let's not forget Venkatesh Prasad.
Absolutely, Venkatesh Prasad and Amir Sohail. I mean, who can forget that? But then I think over the years, players have taken this just like a game, especially with MS Dhoni always putting a point that it is not rivalry. Rivalry is a very negative word, is what MS used to always say. And then Virat Kohli carried the same custom. He even presented bats, and it was a fantastic gesture from Kohli during the last World Cup. Even though India lost the match, there was this fantastic picture, a very warm gesture from Kohli that Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan. I think that sums up how players are looking at. Not to forget, just a week back, Shoaib Akhtar he underwent a surgery, and in the Twitter tweet line. There is a certain Yuvraj Singh who was always passionate, ferocious, known for his swashbuckling things. He messaging in the thread saying "Get well soon, Paya." I think that sums it up. It is for them. It is just a game. For us, yes, we take it in our blood, saying no, look at this India versus Pakistan. But I think somewhere the players know it that they are all professionals, and I think it's more of brotherhood. Rather than rivalry. I think that's what at least the current generation, because even what they are doing in the field of javelin also, it's all evident, and I think the current generation believes in this, that it's not rivalry, it's more of brotherhood, and it's a game of cricket, and the best team will win on that day.
Right. Just to add to what Aravind said, let's not forget, back in the day, the 70s and 80s, winning a game of cricket. I'm a 90s born. We've all grown up watching India Pakistan. We all used to celebrate an India win like there was no tomorrow, and we used to be pretty sad when India lost. Obviously,
we also used to bunk classes to watch an India Pakistan.
Those of you watching us right now at some point have all done that. Let's not kill ourselves. But at the same time, winning a game of cricket in 70s and 80s against Pakistan wasn't just about winning a game. It was also about assertion of national identity of sorts, which of course has changed over the years. There's so much cricket being played these days, guys. These Pakistan players, they're going all around the world playing county cricket. India, of course, they barely get a time to breathe, let alone be with their family. 365 days, they're probably living 310 days out of a suitcase. That says a lot. So I think for them, they really don't have the time to brood over a defeat or celebrate a victory for too long. For them, as Aravind correctly pointed out, it's just a professional sport, and it's a bunch of 22 professionals playing that sport, taking things in the stride. The moment that Aravind was alluding to earlier, Virat Kohli congratulating Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan on that excellent partnership. It really was an excellent partnership to beat India, no matter how vulnerable they looked at that point. With the pressure to beat them with more than 2 overs to spare with a 150 run opening partnership is not easy. Let me again reiterate that India wasn't in great form. India's that debate is for another day. But I just like to add one more point. For the longest time, India's T20 cricket, the methods have been a throwback to a time when orthodoxy was still in vogue. You felt you save wickets up front and you go for the jugular to death. That doesn't apply anymore. They're learning, and they'll get there, which is why this Asia Cup is so important.
Yeah, I think this will serve as a template going forward for the T20 World Cup. Probably a dress rehearsal. We're not saying that Asia Cup is likely. We are the defending champions. There's a lot of things and a lot of permutations and combinations that are running. I think this Asia Cup will give us a little glimpse of how India is preparing for the T20 World Cup, because this is something that an ICC trophy has eluded us for a very, very long time. Under Virat Kohli, we made long strides. We took the game deep, we qualified, but an ICC trophy eluded us. But we changed in captain with Rohit Sharma. I think if we win the Asia Cup, probably it will key in that little bit of momentum what is required going into a mega tournament in Australia. But I think it's a very important tournament, and I think India should be going all guns blazing.
Yeah, and they will. But yeah, I keep going back to this rivalry bit because that's been the most fascinating part of an India-Pakistan contest. The build-up starts way in advance, and the reviews keep going on even after the teams have moved on and has played more matches, perhaps more series even. There have been instances of players probably their careers being questioned, what they've decided being deciphered for so long. Let's not forget the 2007 T20 World Cup final, that one shot that Misbah played. I mean, that was a ball that could have been played anywhere. There was a match that was played so long back, but I'm pretty sure even now, in some random press conference, Misbah perhaps is still questioned about that shot. And Dhoni, to date, is asked what was going through your mind when the ball was in the air and Srishant was getting under it. So that's what, that's the kind of hype you're talking about. The players have perhaps moved on. Of course, those are special moments in their careers, and they will remain so forever. But they have a match to play, they have places to go, and that's the professionalism that we're talking about. And I think it's the sheer volume of cricket that's played these days.
Yeah, and also, Ayan, there's this thing that we always talk about, this rivalry. But do you think playing at a neutral venue?
Yeah.
I mean, we are not playing in India, we are not playing in Pakistan, we are playing at a neutral venue in Dubai. Although Dubai is the second home of Pakistan, because they have played a lot of cricket after cricket was banned in Pakistan. They know the environment, the people, even the cuisine, everything. It's just like the back of the hand. But then India too have made their footmarks in Dubai with the IPL being played there. Do you think how do fans from India and Pakistan would relate? The ones who are not able to go to the stadium, but then there are people in Dubai who are settled in Dubai. Obviously, there will be a mad rush for tickets. So, do you think this neutral venue has also played a part in kind of in a lukewarm kind of a setup?
Yeah, I think it has played a big role. I mean, home crowd is what we talk about in every sport. Home support. Doesn't matter if it's cricket, football, anything. I mean, Manchester United playing at Old Trafford obviously gets a lot more kick than playing, say, somewhere else. So the same applies to India and Pakistan. The fact that they are not playing, although Dubai, as you correctly pointed out, has a lot of subcontinent diaspora. So you have a lot of Indian fans and Pakistan fans streaming in. And mind you, that game on the 28th is going to be jam-packed.
Absolutely.
Fans are going to make a lot of noise. But yeah, as far as that hype is concerned, I wouldn't say it's lukewarm. But again, going back to the World Cup game, in the lead up, I remember the game started in the evening around 6. I got to the stadium at around 2:33. It was hot, extremely hot, as it is usually in Dubai. And there were people swarming in from all sides, the Indian fans, the Pakistan fans. There was a mad rush for tickets, of course, last minute rush, mind you. The guards there had to ensure that people don't enter the stadium much before they are supposed to. And let's not forget, an India-Pakistan match is also important for the gig economy, right? The players, the guys who sell flags, the guys who draw flags on your faces. So it's a lot of money coming in for these guys as well. So while as fans, we keep talking about India, Pakistan, we have to understand that there is a lot more at stake than just that game that's going on in the stadium. It's a certain economy that's fueled by that India-Pakistan clash.
But again, I mean, when we are talking about economics, when we are talking about emotions, but somewhere, an India-Pakistan game, you always touch your heart, you cross your heart, you call your own gods, and there's always this emotion that is riding high, and it is still today because the build-up we have already started, and the players have also been in and around. So the rivalry hasn't died. I would probably say it has matured. If I can use that word. And even fans from both the borders have matured. You look at even social media, there are people from all across ages congratulating each other, and there are so many memes also that come out during an India-Pakistan that's so fantastic, and I really can't wait to see much more coming from them. Coming back to the cricket part, Dubai, obviously we have talked about how hot it will be. What do you think on your experience would be the conditions? Obviously there will be a lot more cracks on the surface. Spin would come into play. Obviously India is carrying quite a spin heavy artillery going into the World Cup. your assessment on the conditions of
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, I mean, plainly speaking, it's going to be hot. A few days back it was 50 degrees, so that's a lot even for people from India who are used to heat. It's going to be a lot of heat. So and the stadium, of course, the conditions are probably going to be spin friendly. You can expect the surfaces to be slightly slower this time. Although I was pleasantly surprised with the pitches that were laid out for the World Cup last year. Let's not forget it happened immediately after the IPL.
Yes.
So the assumption was that the wickets will bring spinners into play much earlier than expected, but that didn't happen. Having said that, right now, of course, it's a different conditions, it's a different time of the year. One of the reasons why UAE wasn't being considered as one of the alternative venues earlier was the heat factor, how the players would respond to it. But unfortunately, the situation in Sri Lanka is such that they had to move to the UAE. But as correctly pointed out by you, both teams are well aware of the conditions, they're well aware of the dimensions of the ground, because that's very important. The Dubai outfield is huge. One of the reasons why West Indies struggled last year was because they've modeled their game on that madcap 6 hitting.
Yes.
And it's not easy, no matter how strong you are, to clear those boundaries that are 89, 88 meters long. So your running between the wickets has to be extremely good too, which will put to test the fitness of both camps. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how India responds to that defeat, which isn't even a year old now. I'm sure that will play on the minds of both camps, and they both understand the language, so if there is any sledging, it will really make for some fun viewing. That's one more thing, in the last few years we haven't really, because I assume they haven't met each other so many times because of obvious reasons, but so whenever they do meet, the sledges don't tend to be as heated as they once were. It's all in fun, so that's also good to watch, so I'm expecting more of that.
Right, but let us remind our viewers that the last time India and Pakistan played in an Asia Cup game, it was India who came out as winners, and that I think Rohit Sharma will take into consideration, because what happened in the World Cup, fine, that is past, but in Asia Cup, especially when we are going as defending champions, I think Rohit Sharma will take into consideration that we do have an advantage over Pakistan because of the obvious head-to-head account. I think that would be a fine note. Coming back to the bowlers, obviously the attack was different. This time we have got a battery of fast bowlers along with good potent spinners. Throw some light on our pace bowlers.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good attack. Bumrah is not there, of course, so it's a chance for the likes of Arshdeep Singh and Avesh Khan to leave a mark before the World Cup. Squad, I would be surprised if Avesh actually makes the squad for the World Cup. Arshdeep Singh, though, has a very good chance. He's shown that he can be incisive with the new ball and with the old ball, and God knows, Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Bumrah could use a third helpful hand. Hardik Pandya's form as a bowler has been really impressive, so he's going to be a big plus for India. Let's not forget, just when India went to UAE last year for the World Cup, he was a big liability. There were question marks over Hardik. What's Hardik going to do? Is he going to bowl? Why isn't he bowling? Blah blah blah. But now he's their biggest strength, one of their biggest strengths.
Has become the captain of
so he is one of their biggest strengths. Let's not forget that. And the form that he's been in, I'm sure Pakistan players would have their plans in place for him as well. Before we wrap up, Aravind spoke about the head-to-head. India does enjoy an upper hand in T20Is as well. They have won 6 times. Pakistan have won twice, and one was a tie. But if I could dare to say so, Pakistan will, for obvious reasons, walk into the Dubai Stadium on August 28th, thinking that they can, if they're beaten India once in less than a year's time, they can beat them again. India, on the other hand, as I said, and I firmly believe that we are the ones who always keep harping on the fact that this is what happened 2 years back, a year back. I'm sure Rohit Sharma and the management, it's a different team, of course, than what it was a year back. They will be looking at it as just another game that they have to win to advance. They have to win to prove that their T20 methods have changed. So yeah, I mean, all in all, it promises to be an exciting contest, Aravind.
Right then, so we have started the build-up for the Asia Cup, and it's the mother of all battles, India versus Pakistan. And our colleague Ayan Acharya will be traveling to Dubai. So please follow him on Twitter, on Instagram, and all his social handles. Thank you for supporting us, and thank you for following us.